Hello and welcome to Haunted Montreal's Spooky Story Sessions. I'm your host, Holly Rhiannon, and today I'm going to tell you about Montreal's haunted old tourist rooms. With over 500 documented ghost stories, Montreal is easily the most haunted city in Canada, if not all of North America. Here at Haunted Montreal, we're dedicated to researching these paranormal tales, and our channel brings you new videos in both French and English every second Saturday. Today, we examine a hotel in the Quartier de Spectacle that may be haunted because several murders occurred in the building when it was known as the Bolero Tourist Rooms. But before we get into today's story, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you get notified every time we have a new tale to share. And hey, if you're already subscribed, a big thank you and welcome back. We're happy to see you again. Now, without further ado, let's get spooky. In the heart of the Quartier de Spectacle sits an old hotel which is rumored to be haunted. Built in the 1870s, it was originally named the Bolero Tourist Rooms. The establishment had a long history of catering to the seedier characters of Montreal's old red light district. During that era, the hotel rented the rooms by the hour, and the alleged hauntings may be related to this sordid history. In its glory days, Montreal's red light district was characterized by its grinding poverty, exploitation, disease, drunken debauchery, premature death, and frequent violence. Not only did dangerous mobsters and gangs fight each other for control of gambling, booze, and prostitution rackets, but the area also witnessed many other violent crimes, including several unforgettable and terrifying murders. When Prohibition kicked in across most of North America, including Canada, in 1919, Montreal and Quebec refused to join. With a strong Catholic influence, the very thought of banning wine was outrageous due to its use in Mass as the sacred blood of Christ. As millions of visitors began streaming in from all of North America looking for a good time, Montreal's reputation as a wide-open city was solidified. The city became even more infamous for its boozing, gambling, prostitution, and deeply entrenched corruption. Gangs, brothel owners, criminals, prostitutes, police, and government officials were all in on the scheme. With such a lax attitude, social problems in the neighborhood began to multiply quickly. Illegal drugs were sold openly, and women and children, some as young as 12, were forced into prostitution by violent pimps. Starting in the 1950s, city officials began trying to find ways to shut down the notorious red light district. Slowly, with everything from brothel raids to massive demolition projects, the area started to reduce in size and illicit activity. In 2002, proposals were made to rebrand the entire red light district as the Quartier de Spectacle, or Entertainment District. Since then, the wholesale destruction of the area has continued unabated, complete with the tearing down of old theaters, displacement of street prostitution, and the erasure of the salacious history of Montreal's old red light district. Today, the old Bolero Tourist Rooms no longer exist as they once did. Indeed, the building now hosts the Hôtel L'Abri de Voyageurs. Fully refurbished into a boutique hotel, it now features beautiful rooms with brick walls that are adorned with tasteful paintings. In July 2014, a Texan man named Brock wrote a very positive review of the establishment. He wrote that he loved the creaking of the wooden floors as he walked around the hotel. He also explained how the manager helped him play a prank on his 9-year-old granddaughter. Brock told her that the hotel was haunted by Marie the little girl ghost who didn't listen to her parents, and the manager backed up the story. The granddaughter fell for the prank until Brock told her a few days later that they had made up the story. Little did Brock know that the hotel may harbor real ghosts. The most common report about the hauntings in the hotel is that electronic devices can seem to take on a life of their own. One guest reported that the TV in his room randomly changed channels and would not stay on one of them. The phone also rang randomly throughout the night with no one on the other end, prompting him to think that they may have been haunted by something. In other cases, cell phone and tablet batteries have been unexpectedly drained inside the hotel, only to spring back to life once outside. One common theory suggests that ghosts are capable of draining batteries due to their negative energy. A psychic medium visited the hotel in the 1990s and detected what she described as a shadowy figure staring at her through one of the windows. When she tried to communicate with it, she felt an evil presence and it disappeared only to reappear in another window. She felt uncomfortable as the shadow seemed to be studying her, so she abandoned the investigation for her own safety. During the red light era, when the hotel was called the Bolero Tourist Rooms, it was a center for drugs and prostitution. The corner of Clark and St. Kitts, which was the nickname for St. Catherine Street, was the center for drug dealing, making the hotel ideally located. Whenever the police arrived, the dealers and junkies made themselves scarce. Murder was not unknown in the tourist rooms either. On Friday, December 14, 1984, a 24-year-old woman of no fixed address named Sharon DeLand was found dead in one of the Bolero tourist rooms. There was a layer of froth on her lips. The police initially suspected a drug overdose, but an autopsy confirmed that she had been strangled. Almost 2 months later, a maid discovered something gruesome. While cleaning the rooms, she found another strangled sex worker, Francine St. Hilaire, age 35. Based on their initial investigation, Montreal police immediately began looking for a suspect in his early 20s. The case would lead them to Toronto. On December 3, 1985, another body was discovered. This time it was Faith Constance Russell, 38, a University of Toronto dental technician. Her corpse was found wrapped in a sleeping bag in an apartment she shared with a man named Gregory George Ashford. Toronto police linked Ashford to the murder of at least 5 young women and issued a Canada-wide warrant for his arrest. They warned that Ashford should be considered violent and extremely dangerous. Ashford was finally arrested in my hometown of Winnipeg after murdering another woman in Halifax. This guy really got around. Montreal police were able to eventually interrogate Ashford about the strangling of the sex workers at the Bolero Tourist Rooms, but if they got any information, it was never used in court. The murders of Sharon DeLand and Francine St. Hilaire were never considered solved. In January 1987, Ashford pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in the death of Faith Constance Russell before Ontario Supreme Court Justice John O'Driscoll. He was given a life sentence with no chance of parole for 20 years. A few months later, he received an additional life sentence after being linked to the murder of a prostitute in Halifax. A psychiatrist diagnosed Ashford as a sociopath with a reasonably severe paranoid personality disorder. Ashford never expressed any remorse for his crimes, expressed amazement at how easy it was to kill, and believes he deserves to die for what he has done. Private investigator Annie M. Richard wrote in depth about the murders. After serving a life sentence of 25 years, Ashford began seeking release from prison. He has been eligible for parole since 2005, but always abandoned his application when the families of his victims have gone public with their opposition. Despite concerns from the parole board that he remains an above-average risk, in 2016 Ashford was allowed to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings in the community for his heroin addiction. He was not to consume any alcohol or drugs and had to report any female friendships to his parole officer. Family members of the victims worry that he will strike again, and the police are still trying to link him to several other murders, including those at the Bolero Tourist Rooms. It is unknown at this time if Gregory George Ashford has been released from prison. Whether or not the electronic hauntings and shadowy spirit are related to these murders is also unknown. But it is not uncommon for there to be these types of disturbances at sites where tragedies have occurred, such as the brutal strangulations and murders that happened in the mid-1980s when the Bolero Tourist Rooms were rented by the hour. Are you a Montreal resident or perhaps a tourist who has had a strange experience in the Quartier du Spectacle? If so, we'd love to know. As always, we want to hear your theories about what could be going on. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first video, we do hope you'll stick around for the next one. We post new videos in both French and English every second Saturday. If you'd like to learn more about the organization founded by the talented Donovan King, it's all listed in the description down below, along with links to purchase tickets to in-person haunted storytelling experiences. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll have a new video out in a couple weeks, but until then, stay spooky.